Tonight, nurses consider work bans at a number of regional hospitals, and having a whale of a time, tourists flock to catch a glimpse of massive mammals on the west coast.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. The Nurses Union is considering imposing work bans at 3 hospitals in the Upper Spencer Gulf after a review found an inadequate number of staff. The union says the health department has potentially left it with no choice but to refuse some patients. John Hunt has more.
As Adelaide celebrates the opening of the multi-billion-dollar NRA, the Australian Nurses and Midwifery Association says regional hospitals are struggling under the weight of increased patient numbers and a lack of staff. And unless there's a plan by next week, the union will prescribe a dose of industrial action in the Upper Spencer Gulf. Port Augusta, Port Perry and Whyalla hospitals will join Mount Gambier in implementing a number of work bans. These will include limiting services and only servicing beds that match the number of staff available. The union says the action comes after a joint review between itself and Country Health SA found the 4 hospitals don't have enough nurses to meet patient needs. It means nurses are working overtime to meet demand, putting the health of themselves and their patients at risk. The union says despite repeated warnings and meetings, Country Health is yet to come up with a plan to increase staff. Together, the 3 hospitals service a combined population of around 50,000 people, as well as providing support for smaller towns in the region. Both the union and the health department did not get back to us for further comment before our deadline. With a week to go before any action is implemented, it's hoped a solution can be found, but locals are being urged to prepare for the worst.
A Port Broughton woman has been left to pick up the pieces after a fire tore through her home at the weekend. But the community is rallying together to offer assistance to the single mother. Rachel Nell has more.
An electrical fault with the air conditioner is believed to have started the blaze in the lounge room around 3 o'clock on Saturday morning, waking the woman, leaving her with no option but to force her way out through this window, and her neighbours then taking her to the local hospital.
There's nothing left of the house. It's all damaged. The force of the fire was that bad it melted a car out the front of the house.
With no insurance, the single mother has lost everything. But it's times like these that bring out the best in the community.
We'll do our best to support her and whatever. If anyone's got anything they want to donate to her, or some clothes or whatever, they can drop it in here for her, and we'll be more than happy to accept any donations.
The woman is now recovering comfortably with a roof over her head.
The reality of life is that, sometimes we all need a little bit of help, and as often as people can provide it, and it's always gratefully received.
They've really brought the son back into my life, and I can't thank Port Broughton enough.
The damage bill's been put at $150,000. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, Whyalla shoppers are being asked to think about a memorable retail experience they've received this past 12 months. The Chamber of Commerce has opened voting for the most popular Retail Assistant of the Year award in a bid to recognise someone who has taken an extra step to help out a customer.
The Business of the Year awards have traditionally celebrated the work of local businesses who've shown commitment to the city, but they also recognise the work of individuals, especially those who go above and beyond to make customers feel special.
It's something that you don't often see, and unfortunately sometimes people are not recognised for the great effort that they put in.
The Chamber is on the lookout for the most popular retail employee in town. Shoppers are being asked to head to the Chamber's website to nominate and vote for an employee.
Look for the link to the awards, and they can go on and vote online. You can vote for the same person as many times as you want because it is the most popular award.
Mr. Hayes says it's important our local retail employees get the recognition and support for doing their job well.
It's across those sectors, but it is important that the public get on board and, put in their vote for who they think should be the lucky recipient.
For more details on how to vote, head to our Facebook page. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Operators in a tiny bay west of Port Lincoln are experiencing a massive boom in sightings of southern right whales. Tourists from across Australia and around the world are flocking to the area to catch a glimpse, and locals say it's doing wonders for the region.
Down a long dusty trail along South Australia's western shoreline lies a bay. But this isn't just any bay, because there's something in the water.
We stand to have the most whales in South Australia and Australia for southern right numbers, so it's fantastic for the area.
Fowler's Bay is a small coastal town 6 hours west of Port Lincoln. Rod Keogh and partner Simone have been taking tourists to the whale sanctuary for nearly a decade, but in the last 12 months they've seen whale numbers explode.
On an average day of the season here in Fowler's Bay, we've been seeing at least 40 whales. The population here is 19.
This year alone, Fowler's has seen 24 calves born in the aquatic haven, with 125 different whales spotted in the area. It's unknown why the whales are seeking the remote bay to breed, but charters like EP Cruises say tourists can't get enough.
The mating this year has been amazing, so it's not only a nursery, but it's an emerging location or emerging colony that is rapidly emerging.
It's also helping put Fowler's on the map. Holiday makers from around the world are making the journey for a glimpse at the imposing sea creature.
They can go anywhere else in Australia or the world, but they choose to come to Fowler's Bay, and that makes it even more special.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Do stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, a New York-based artist brings the town's history to a wall in Broken Hill. Details next. Welcome back. Whyalla's Ada Ryan Gardens has received a little brightening up. Outdoor gym equipment has been installed to help improve the look of the area and help with grass growth. Whyalla Council says the site needed some TLC ahead of the summer months when the foreshore becomes a popular spot.
Just tidy it up and get it looking nice and usable friendly again. And like I said, down there on the foreshore, we're going to be getting the pommels and some new swings for down there as well.
Pete Plato will face court after he was allegedly caught travelling 150 kilometres an hour in a 100 zone. Police say the 17-year-old driver was detected in a Holden sedan travelling over the limit on the Lincoln Highway in Whyalla yesterday afternoon. He's lost his licence for 6 months. His car's also been impounded for 28 days. Another mural has graced one of Broken Hill's many facades. New York-based Damien Mitchell has crafted a massive piece in homage to the town's Afghani roots.
At the corner of Argent and Bromide Street, passers-by can't help but stop and look at this work of art.
Kind of illustrates the history of the Afghani cameleers in the area. On one side we have the cameleer and some camels behind him over a sunset sky with some Arabic star patterns over the top of it. On the opposite side we have a image of the gun train, formerly the Afghan Express.
Australian artist Damien Mitchell now calls New York City home, but he couldn't resist the chance to paint part of the town once again.
I love coming to Broken Hill, you know, people have always been quite receptive to what I do. I think, you know, I've had a lot of people walk past and put in their 2 cents.
Damien says the piece on the Islamic Studies Centre pays tribute to the work the Cameleer community and the work they put in to making this part of the world accessible in the early stages of its settlement. He's also known for this piece of work in Wolfram Lane of 4 local youngsters back in 2015. The Broken Hill Art Exchange has supported the production as part of its Desert Equinox art program, leading up to the Water and Air Citywide Art Exhibition. The Exchange is calling for artists to get involved and register their works. As for Damien, he hasn't ruled out coming back and painting once more.
I'm back to paint murals whenever I get invited.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
The Silver City Show went out with a big bang over the weekend as a spectacular fireworks show brought the event to a close. Organisers are thrilled with this year's turnout, saying the show's outdone itself once again.
Rides, show bags, fun and excitement. The 2017 Silver City Show did not disappoint. Thousands came through the gates, leaving organisers more than pleased. It was thumbs up all around.
All the reports I get back, it was a lot better than last year.
And there was something for everyone. While some played it safe on the bumper cars and rides at ground level, others were a little bit more adventurous, taking to the skies. As always, the sideshows were a favourite with both kids and adults. Some attractions were educational, albeit a little hair-raising, many taking a step back as the world's deadliest snake, the inland taipan, was brought out on show. And when the sun set, the lights dazzled, making for a stunning spectacle.
The view from the fence this year, from what I'm told, and myself, was dazzling. Absolutely dazzling, mate. And the lights and these new lights they're using on these big rides and everything, mate, you know, with all their changing the colours and that. Perfect, yeah.
The night was capped off with another jaw-dropping fireworks display.
Very good, mate. Very happy with it. I'd like to thank the people of Broughton Hill and the visiting people and all the rides and all the everyone attended. Great turnout. Served the show well.
Patrick Ryanke, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, grand final footy fever continues across the region. Details next. Welcome back. The Royal Australian Air Force balloon has graced the skies of Port Augusta to the delight of local primary school students. It's part of a regional tour the Air Force is conducting across regional South Australia.
At pretty much the size of a house, this Air Force balloon easily dwarfs the Willesden Primary School oval. Regional visits via one of the earliest forms of flight gives Air Force personnel a unique way to meet communities.
It's a bit unique in that if you see the jets fly past, you don't get to talk to the guys flying it or talk to the guys maintaining it. You don't get to touch the jet or any of that sort of thing.
What we're going to try this morning is a cold inflate. So it is a little bit windy to put the balloon up because the balloon is fairly sensitive to the wind.
In flight, the air inside heats up to over 40 degrees, but with cold air enough to raise the balloon on its side, kids and teachers can take a tour inside.
Whereas with the balloon, we go and land somewhere or we go and do this sort of thing, everyone can chat to all of the crew. You can meet the guys flying the thing. You can actually go and touch the aeroplane. You can sort of smell it and bit of a tactile thing, so yeah, something different.
The Air Force says bringing this 28-metre balloon around the region is one of the best ways to engage with the community. While it's too windy to put in full flight today, teachers say it's much better than sitting in class.
I think they're enjoying this more than they enjoy their maths time, so it is a great change for a Monday morning.
But we're very much trying to get people interested in defence and the Air Force and just get people to understand that we're out there and show regional Australia that the military does care about them.
Crews say the weather is looking good for a flight over Port Augusta tomorrow morning. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
To some sports news now, and Crystal Brook has taken out the 2017 Northern Areas Football Premiership. After a tightly fought contest against Broughton Mandurah, the team is now celebrating its comeback win after last year's defeat.
Crystal Brook walking away undefeated. But without the home ground advantage, it wasn't the start of the game coach Shane Arbin had hoped for.
It wasn't the perfect start. We were to a three goal down early in the game.
The boys bounced back after half-time, taking out a clear victory, winning the premiership by 6 goals.
Really dominating the game in the second half. We ran away with it, which was really pleasing.
Last year's grand final loss pushing the team to redeem themselves.
We were confident going into the game, so we just knew if we just stuck to the game plan and just didn't play above ourselves, would go all right.
Crystal Brook B-grade players also took out the 2017 premiership, winning the title for the 3rd time in a row.
Three-peat is pretty special, and the first time the club has actually achieved that, and I guess to do it with our A-grade being so successful at the same time is a great achievement from the club.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
More now on our final season, and there was a huge upset in the Port Lincoln Football League over the weekend. Jason Kemp joins us now with the results. Jace, there's 2 big grand finals to be held in the region this weekend.
Fraser's a big weekend in football. Marble Range met Mallee Park in the prelim final here at Centenary Oval. Marble Range hadn't beaten the Peckers for over 3 years, but Mallee Park lost some key players going in. Mallee Park spent much of the year undefeated, but a loss to Waybacks last week and the loss of a key player through suspension meant it was a game Marble Range could win. Mallee Park got out to an early lead, but by 3/4 time, the game was all tied up. Even a best-on-ground performance by coach Graham Johncock wasn't enough to get Mallee Park into the grand final. Marble Range winning by a goal. Marble Range will now meet Waybacks in the grand final to finish off the season. In the Spencer Golf League, Sollies beat the Lions convincingly by 27 points to book themselves into a grand final this week. They'll play South Augusta to see who will take out the competition. Moving over to the northern areas, Crystal Brook defeated Broughton in a grand final whitewash, easily accounting for them by 7 goals. Over on the York Peninsula, a very different story with Kadina defeating the CMS Crows by only a couple of kicks in a very tight grand final. Kadina running out 12-point victors. In the Great Flinders League, the Ramblers celebrated hard with a 29-point win over United in the grand final, rounding out a very successful year. Moving to netball and in the Port Lincoln League, Whyalla Rangers completed a fantastic season by defeating Waybacks in a tight final game by just 6 points. In the northern areas, Orroroo stormed home in the grand final against Broughton to win easily by 19 points. And lastly, in Port Lincoln soccer, the South Coast defeated the Masters 2-0 to take out the cup and the season. So there you have it, Fraser. Huge year in sport in our local leagues, but it's not over just yet, with 2 big grand finals remaining in both the Spencer Gulf and Port Lincoln.
Thanks, Jace. Jason Kemp in Port Lincoln there. After the break, Nicole will have all the weather, and it was a wet one across the region today, Nicole.
Yes, Fraser, but it won't last long. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. A showery day right across the region. Still warm though in some places, reaching 24 degrees in Port Augusta, 21 the top in Whyalla and Port Pirie. The mercury hitting 28 in Broken Hill, and showers continuing in Adelaide for 18. Having a look at the satellite, a bit of cloud near far western parts of South Australia with a low pressure trough is bringing a few showers. On the Gulf waters, winds will be south-southwesterly, 15 to 20 knots. Seas up to 1.5 metres. Sunrise at 6:15. Sunset just after 6:10. We can put the umbrellas away tomorrow with showers clearing. A fine day right across the region, seeing 22 in Port Augusta, 19 the top in Broken Hill and Port Pirie. Only a bit cooler in Whyalla and Port Lincoln. Clear skies continuing in Port Lincoln over the next few days, seeing temperatures starting to push up in Cleve for 28 on Friday, a top of 19 in Woodna on Wednesday, heading up even more by the week's end, hitting 31 on Friday. Much the same weather-wise in Whyalla, a bit of sun for the crops this week as it begins to warm up, a top of 27 on Wednesday. 29 the maximum on Wednesday and Thursday in Port Augusta, and reaching 24 degrees in Kadina on Friday. And plenty of sunshine in Port Pirie, clear skies for 28 on Friday, a bit cooler in Clare with 15 the top tomorrow, heading up in Broken Hill, 29 on Thursday. So, Fraser, looking like we're in for a dry week ahead.
Thanks, Nicole, and that's Southern Cross News. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget you can stay up to date on Facebook and Twitter. You can also drop us an email. I'll be back a little later with updates. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.